When it comes to long-term sustainable weight loss and improved health, many people sadly suffer needlessly and fail to recognize the potential they have to truly live a life that is vibrant, where they can actually thrive and be well. In saying that, we've talked about the importance of knowing some of these basic principles and being able to apply those in our lives to be able to reap the benefits that are there and available. Oftentimes, when a new patient comes into the office, I'll look at them and I'll ask them a simple question, which is, do you want to be healthy? As you can imagine, I get this look back that says, why are you asking me this? Of course I want to be healthy. But you have to understand that when it comes to not just wanting health, people all the time say, I want to be healthy. But if they don't understand what health is, they're going to have a very challenging time making decisions about their life and their health, whether it be physically, mentally, or even spiritually for that matter. And listen, you have to understand that what we're talking about here is not just saying, hey, I want to be healthy because I want to feel good. We're talking about long-term, sustainable weight loss and improved health so that years down the road, you are thriving, you're enjoying life, and you're being the full expression of life and health the way God created you in His image to be able to be. So what I want to do is I want to offer you the unapologetic truth in the way that you know exactly what it is that you can do, that you know what health is and you know what steps to take in order to be able to not just achieve it, but once again to be able to sustain that. But even more than that, I want it to be to where when you get it, so to speak, that you're able to literally thrive. That your health and the way you think about yourself, the way you live your life, the way you think, all these different things are to the point to where your whole life is a full expression, where you're joyful every day, you're just beaming with being happy all the time, you have endless energy. That's what we want for you. And to be able to get that, we have to understand some of these basic fundamentals to where many times, unfortunately, whether it's different doctors or different programs or diets or whatever it might be, they take it and there's a lot of truth to what they're doing, but unfortunately they segment it out so it's like a one thing kind of a deal, and instead of addressing all the underlying causes or building off of a foundation of the basics of what you want and the possibility you have, they miss that sadly. And that's why so many people I find struggle, is because there's little things that if they had a level of understanding and a level of desire to be able to achieve that health, all they have to do is apply these simple little things to be able to think a different way and speak a different way and make a little bit different choices. And next thing you know, it's like when they get it, their whole lives are different. And not only are their lives different, but many times, especially if that person's a parent or grandparent, that's going to spill on to other people as well. What a joy is that? So I want you to think about just that for a moment. If you were thriving in your life, what would that look like? And I mean that genuinely, to the point to where if you were thriving with your health, how would your health be different than what it is right now? If you were thriving in your relationships, the relationships that are most important in our lives, how would that look if those relationships were thriving? Or what about your finances? What about the way you look at yourself? If you look yourself eye to eye in the mirror, how is it that you would feel about yourself if you were in a state where you are thriving and expressing life to the highest measure possible? So last time we talked about how counting calories, fat-free, sugar-free, and processed foods, maybe not the best idea if you're looking for long-term sustainable weight loss and improved health. We also talked briefly about the law of cause and effect, and how unless you address the underlying cause, you're always going to have a struggle, because you have to remember that weight gain and poor health are, once again, I've said it before and I'll say it again, those things are merely side effects of abnormal physiology. Your body's just not working at its absolute best. And so today what I want to share with you are two more things, the two things that they found in research around the world to be the only two things that are contributing factors to why a person may have sickness, suffering, or even sometimes die prematurely when it comes to poor health. These two things, when broken down simply, are that of toxicity and deficiency. That's right, it really comes down to two things: toxicity or deficiency. So you're going to want to pay attention over the next couple moments, because the truth that I'm about to unveil, although it was common sense to one person, another person may look at this and the lights come on and they say, holy smokes, this is good stuff. And that's what I want for everybody. So the first thing I want to talk about just briefly has to do with artificial sweeteners. Now I want you to understand that the reason I want to talk about artificial sweeteners is not just because that's one of the seven secrets, so to speak, or the secrets, but it's a conceptual thing to where if you understand why it's not a good thing, then you're going to also be able to see, God willing, how other things that are like that are also having the same detrimental effect. So let's get right into talking briefly about artificial sweeteners and why that's not a great thing when it comes to you achieving long-term sustainable weight loss and improved health. So I want to talk with you specifically about aspartame. And the importance is not just about talking about aspartame, but it's conceptual in the sense that I'm going to talk with you about aspartame and some of the effects that maybe it has on the body, but I want you to think beyond that. Because if all you do is think about, oh, aspartame, I get that, but you ignore all the other things out there that are very similar to that and how they affect the body through toxicity and deficiency, then you've missed the concept. And I don't want that for you. So I want you to, as we go into this, I want you to have that level of understanding where you can apply the same principles and things to other chemicals and other, derivatives out there, because aspartame, has many derivatives. You see, when you look at the packaging, if something says sugar-free, there are many derivatives of aspartame. There's many things that are chemically altered just slightly so they can give it a different name, so maybe it's not recognizable to you. But for me personally, if anything says sugar-free on it, I'm very leery, and oftentimes, unless it has a natural sweetener in it, I avoid that like it's the plague. You see, specifically speaking, aspartame has its own death category. And really what's interesting is I was reading an article and some research here not too long ago, and they said in there that of all the different adverse side effects that are reported to the FDA having to do with foods and things of that nature, 75% of them, that's right, 75% of those things reported to the FDA have to do with the effects of aspartame. And the market of sugar-free stuff is growing exponentially. So just think about that for a moment. How many people who are not just having one serving of this a day, but who live their lives where many times everything that they're putting into their body, they're thinking they're doing themselves a good thing by eating sugar-free stuff, but they're putting into their body a neurotoxin that's destroying their health. So whether it be headaches or dizziness, brain tumors, diabetes, Parkinson's, there's a list of side effects that have been proven in science to be linked to aspartame. That list is not only lengthy, but you wouldn't believe some of the side effects that are commonly found with people who consume aspartame on a regular basis. Listen, aspartame and glutamate cause just an enormous problem when it comes to how they affect the neurotransmitters in the body. In neurotransmitters, you have to understand, there's a couple ways your body communicates, whether it be through hormones or neurotransmitters. This is how inside your body's communicating. So these chemicals, unfortunately, are having a direct effect on the communication within your body. That's how oftentimes drugs work, is chemically trying to alter how the body's able to function. The problem here is that too much, and what too much is for one person is going to be different for another, but too much of this is something that's going to start to kill off brain cells and then create increase in free radicals, causing a lot of damage. And that's why aspartame and other related chemicals are called excitotoxins, because they literally excite the neurons to the point to where they die. And although they know that in science and research, it's accepted and it's allowed in our substances and is now put in over 6,000 different food items that oftentimes people consume around the world on a regular basis. The problem is that oftentimes the diet foods, the prepackaged foods, the things that people are oftentimes eating to try to lose weight and improve their health, to try to not cause their diabetes to get worse, so to speak, these same foods that they're intentionally eating to be able to try to lose weight and get all these results are the same foods that have the most negative effect, oftentimes causing these problems as side effects. So imagine a person's eating a diet food that has sugar-free stuff in it, or they're having a diet food that's trying to help them with their diabetes, so to speak, but in the same sense, that same food they're eating for that purpose is actually causing their problem to over time get much worse. So eating real sugar in large amounts is no doubt about and not advised. But at least when a person eats a natural sweetener, their body is more apt to be able to recognize it and deal with it appropriately than if you're using artificial stuff that the body just doesn't recognize and causes adverse negative responses and effects. Furthermore, aspartame has also been shown in science to stimulate the release of insulin and leptin, which again then also affects appetite and creates more fat storage over time. So what's the problem? Well, the problem is it's related to toxicity and deficiency. You have to remember that it's not just about aspartame, but it's about toxicity and deficiency. Giving your body what it needs and avoiding the things that cause it harm. The word poison, when defined, is a substance that has an inherent property that destroys life and impairs health. Now realize toxicity is not just in chemicals. Toxicity can be in chemicals. I want you to think about this. It can be in negative words or thoughts even. Toxicity can be broad. But in the same sense, I want you to think about, just like we just discussed with aspartame, the reason why it's so deadly and causes so many side effects is because by definition, it is a poison. It's a chemical or a substance that has an inherent property that causes death or impairs health. So in other words, if you're desiring to improve your life and your health, if you're desiring to have lasting results, the question becomes, can I put harmful toxins in my body and achieve a level of improved health? We both know the answer to that, and that's clearly you cannot. I want to talk briefly about something further regarding what's called obesogens. Obesogens are chemicals that are in many products that people use on a regular basis, whether it be in certain detergents that they use or body products like deodorant or makeups and sprays and hair products. I mean, in chemicals that people use on a regular basis, obesogens are substances or chemicals that are known to trigger negative responses, specifically weight gain and obesity. Now get this, imagine you're trying to lose weight and you're using different foods like we talked about that are known to also cause weight. But in the same sense, now let's say that you're trying to lose weight, you're trying to improve your life and you're working hard to improve your health. But in the same sense, day after day, you're using products that contain harmful chemicals known to not just cause detrimental effects on long-term health, but are also known specifically while you're trying to lose weight that are disrupting hormones and neurotransmitters that are actually causing your body over time to gain weight. They're affecting your metabolism in a way that's slowing it down. So the question then becomes, simply put, can you continue to do these things and actually get an outcome that you desire, which is long-term sustainable weight loss and improved health? And of course, once again, the answer is, of course, that cannot happen. Additionally, I want to talk just briefly about cellular hydration. Many times when people come into one of my offices, we do cellular hydration testing, among other things, to determine what their needs are. And one thing that we found to be consistent is that most Americans are significantly dehydrated to the cellular level. These people may be taking diuretics prescribed by their doctor. They may also be taking blood thinners because their blood is obviously too thick. But you look at this and maybe they have interstitial swelling to where their skin is all tight and they're retaining water, but the cells are deprived of that water. And one of the things that we're able to see is that when a person comes in, we can oftentimes tell if they've tried to lose weight, especially many times, because most programs, when you try to lose weight, what you're losing primarily, especially initially, is you're losing water. So if a person comes into the office and they're trying to lose weight and they're losing mostly water weight, but yet they've already tested as dehydrated, imagine what effect negatively that's going to have on their overall long-term sustainable health. Once again, it's not a good thing. And so that's why most of these diets don't work long-term, is because when you're not improving your health by improving the things that your body needs because it's deficient in, the next thing you know, you're doing something with the intent of getting better, but sadly, unfortunately, those very things are dehydrating the cells, among other things, that's keeping your body from being that full expression of life and health, and that's where a lot of the danger comes in. So think about for just a moment something like, a grape. If you take a grape and you imagine that grape to be swelled up and full of water, well, if that becomes dehydrated, it's going to then dehydrate itself to the point where it becomes a raisin. And oftentimes that's what you find with the cells of the body, is the cells are designed to be full of water and life. We all know for the most part that the body is primarily composed or comprised of water. And so when you dehydrate the body, over time what happens, those cells become dehydrated. Even the blood, I mentioned before with blood thinners, the blood's supposed to be about 90% water. Your bones are even up to 20% water. So when you think about that, well, it makes sense then that a person said, well, your blood's too thick, take a blood thinner. However, a blood thinner is maybe not the answer if they're dehydrated. What they really need is cellular hydration. And there's a specific route to be able to help people to get that. And it goes beyond just, drinking water, although of course that's good. But the thing about it is that we have to make sure we're looking at the bigger picture, to where if we say we want health, that we have a foundation on what can we do to improve life and health in a way that it actually makes sense and produces the results that we're really saying that we're wanting. So if a person is dehydrated and their blood's too thick, Well, the blood has to go from the heart, and then it has to circulate, as you know, through the circulatory system, and it has to go through the liver, it has to go through the kidneys, and it's being filtered and so forth. So if you think about that for just a moment, the liver and the kidneys being filters, if you're trying to pump thick sludge-like blood through heart tissue that's dehydrated and it's not as elastic and full like it's supposed to, and it's more like a raisin where it's shriveled up and stiff, imagine the effect that's going to have on the kidneys. Imagine the effect it's going to have on the liver, and imagine the effect then if you're backing up the whole circulatory system, the effects that might have on your blood pressure as well. You see, it's the law of cause and effect, and understanding these principles is so key when it comes to truly being healthy. That's once again why it's so important to understand some of these basic fundamentals. The law of cause and effect, the law of adaptation in time, the laws of toxicity and deficiency, giving your body what it needs while avoiding the things that cause it harm. As I discovered these principles and educate patients on how to apply these to their lives on a daily basis, I find that the patients who follow these recommendations, who grasp that and they get it, and they now have the answers of what they can do to effectively take responsibility and simply and easily change your life, the next thing you know, you get results. And that's what matters, is results, that you can truly live and express life and health. It was once said that when I lost all my excuses, I found results. How true is that? I want to ask you again, do you want to be healthy? But also I have to ask, do you know what health is? Do you know what it takes to get healthy? Do you know what it takes to stay healthy? Are you willing to do whatever it takes to get healthy and stay healthy? Until next time, God bless.